Hello and welcome everyone. So today we will create another React hook that is use as focus. So what use as focus does is it will tell us whether the window that we are at is currently in focus or not. So as we can see, uh, we have a text here has focus and it is showing false. That means the window that I am currently at is not in focus. But if I click somewhere inside the window, it changes to true. That means the window is in focus now. The user is the user has focused on the window that he is at. But if I click on the URL again, that means I will lost the focus again. I will lose the focus of my window again here. So if I click on my URL, it changes to false. But if I click on the window again, it changes to true. If I click outside, it changes to false. So this is used to detect the whether the user is doing something in the tab, or the whether the user has user has an active tab or not. Because if the user does not have an active tab, let's say the user is doing something else on a separate tab, then you might need not perform some operations that you are already performing for that user on your web page, right? So this is helpful in cases when you want to detect when the user has left the page or when the user has lost focus on the window. So this will be a final output. So let's try to code this up. I will remove everything from here. Let's create a function. Let's create an app function, and I will call my has focus hook here, which I will create in just a minute. And here I will return a div, and this div will have has focus, and this will be return whether it's focus or not. If it is focus, I'll return true, else I'll just return false. So if my focus value is true, I'll return true, else I'll return false as a string. And now I'll create my has focus hook, export function as focus hook has focus, and I'll create a state variable here using focus and set focus, and its default value here will be if my document has focus or not. So has focus is an inbuilt method declared on document, and it returns true if my document is in focus, else it returns false. This will be my initial value, and now I'll call use effect for when my component is done mounting, and I want to call this use effect only once. And here I'll create two functions that are critical for me to detect whether the document has lost focus or not. So one will be handle focus, and for this, if my document comes in focus, I want to set my focus value to true. One will be my handle blur. So blur event is fired when my document loses focus. So if I'm watching blur event on my document, or if I'm watching blur event on my window, so that will get fired when my window loses focus. So if my window is losing focus, I want to set my focus value to false. And now I want to set event listeners on my window, and one event listener will be on focus, that is when my window comes in focus. So I want to call here handle focus and set my focus to true. If my window loses focus, that is blur, I want to call handle blur and set focus to false. And as a cleanup, I'll remove event listeners from my window so that it does not cause any kind of leaks. Now at the end, I'll just return focus, and I'll save this now. And let's see, I think there is an error. I need to import use effect and use state from React here. Use effect, use state from React. I'll save this now, and let's see if it works. I'll refresh the page. There is still an error, uses focus is not defined. I need to change this to use as focus. I'll save this, and here we have false here. Now if I click on the window, it becomes true. If I click on the URL, it becomes false. So this was a pretty basic example and implementation of how to detect whether the user is doing something in the window, is doing something on your tab, or is like has lost focus. So this was all for today. I'll see you next one. Bye.